But in times of trials and tribulation, you can't be complacent. You must elevate your intensity so that it goes at least 1 degree, I call it 1 degree, one level above the trial and tribulation. 1 degree, one level above your circumstance. You need to be happy. You need to have a sense of purpose. You need to feel like you're contributing, and you need to feel like you're valued. And there are 12 areas that need to be healthy for you to achieve that. So the first area is what I call your sense of purpose. And what do I really mean? There's some key areas, right, where you got to have a sense of purpose, and I'll touch it on more when I go into the work areas, but definitely in your career. It doesn't matter your title, it doesn't matter your position. Do you feel like you have a sense of purpose in that role, in what you do? If it's not at work, at the very least, is it in your community? If it's not in your community, at the very least, is it at home? And I talk about it a little bit in my book, the Thrival Guide to Work and Life. Are you leveraging what I call your superpower? Yes, I really mean superpower. This is not a made up thing. You actually do have a superpower. It's that what makes you unique. It's that talent that you bring to the table. Are you leveraging it? Are you giving it back some way? Do you feel you have a sense of purpose? The next area that absolutely needs to be healthy is in your relationships. Thriving in your relationships. And what does that mean? Well, there are some key areas in relationships. Like I say, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you must be proactive in helping them at least be healthy. That includes with your family. What is your role to your family? Are you a mother? Are you a father? Are you a brother? Are you a sister? And how healthy is it? That includes with your peers. What is your role to them? Are you being proactive and intentional to that? That's your friends. Do you play a specific role to that? Are those relationships healthy? And what are you doing to be proactive about that? And believe it or not, that includes to you yourself. Do you have, as crazy as this sounds, a healthy relationship with yourself? Do you feel good when you hold up or you look at the mirror? I am going to be the first to tell you that I am my harshest critic. We have so many things, and especially now, that are compounding our sense of obligation, that are compounding our sense of responsibility, that are compounding the expectations that others have upon us. And at the same time, our own self-criticism of ourself. Do you yourself have a healthy relationship with you yourself? During these times when we are subject to shutdowns, when we are subject to snow days, when we're subject to this adjusting to the work from home, and who knows when and how this is going to go back to normal. And we know now the new normal, this is the new normal. It's always going to require that we be flexible, require that we be agile, and to even have the mental discipline to maintain that, not only for yourself, but for the others who depend on you, is so critical. I have no doubt that if you do a Google search right now, that the cases of depression, that the cases of people feeling down on themselves is at an all-time high. Even the positive motivational speakers are struggling. So the first thing to embrace is it's critical that you work on your mental health. But that also means working on stopping the negative talk. That also means working on stopping the monkey mind from happening. But on the positive side, that means what are you doing to mentally grow your mind? What are you doing to constantly learn? What are you doing to be constantly motivated? What are you doing constantly to be filling your cup? So there's a saying out there, and it's not mine, but I completely agree with it. If you are not growing, you are dying. Bottom line. And in every single one of these areas, you're only going to be doing one of three things that will give you this sense of ongoing growth. You're going to maintain it because it's working. You're going to optimize it because it just needs to go from 5 to 7. Or are you going to disrupt it because it's severely broken? And now we're talking about this area of mental health. It must be healthy. Then we move into the area, again, this is not rocket science, but I call these the 6 critical areas of my life map. And I came up with these areas because this was 12 years ago. I've been doing this life map now. I asked myself, if I were to literally die tomorrow, what would I regret? And it funneled down to these 6 areas. I would have regretted not feeding these areas so that they thrive. So the next area is physical health. So we have mental health, physical health, and then I'll get to spiritual health, and then the last one with finances. But with physical health, this is not trying to be, on the cover of Vogue magazine or People magazine or GQ magazine. No, it's about at the end of the day, and I literally mean at the end of each day, do you feel good? Do you feel high sense of energy, or are you dwindled? Physical health is much more to me about energy management. So mental health is actually connected to physical health. What are you doing to feed your body so that the energy feeds itself and is at a high? What are you doing physically so that your energy is allowing you to tackle all of the responsibilities you have during work and after work? And literally, how do you physically feel? And if you don't feel healthy, then what do you need to start doing to start adjusting that? Again, this is not rocket science, but I hope to prove to you that all of these things are interconnected for you to be able to thrive. And then last but not least, in the area of physical health, what are you doing to just recreate? That's what recreation means when you break up the word. What are you doing to recreate the body so that it is energized, so that it is rejuvenated? And if you don't believe it, I hope you do by just tracking through evidence. How you feel physically will fundamentally impact how you contribute in the workplace, how you contribute at home. Finances. When you look at your overall state of finances, is it healthy? You don't have to be the multi-millionaire or shoot to be the next Elon Musk or Bezos or Gates. That's not realistic. It's for most of us, including me, that's not even practical. But are you financially stable? We know for a fact that one of the primary strains on relationships, on homes, is financial stability. And that's all I'm asking that you strive for, is get to a state that you are financially stable. And when I talk about financial stability and finances, I'm really talking about 4 key areas as it pertains to finances. It's in your earning. Are you happy with what you're making? And what are you doing for it if you're not? It's in your giving. I'm a firm believer that it is reciprocal, that giving and receiving are almost one in the same, and your attitude to that are almost one in the same. I call that the abundance theory, and I firmly believe that to be true. And last but not least, it's the investing. And for most folks, that is usually on the back end. But the powerful part about the investing is you have this long-term perspective that is extremely healthy. so that you have that ongoing growing mindset in you. Last but not least, on the life area is spiritual health. And I'm not here to preach my spiritual preferences on you. But I do believe it's very important that in the realm of spiritual health, it's ultimately, I'll tell you personally, there have times when I have felt like I was in the pits of despair, completely alone, lost all perspective, hope. Hope is an acronym, by the way, that I came up with that stands for having only positive energy. There are times I had none. And it was truly through spiritual health that I regained it back. And what I mean by that is regain perspective. And again, this is just Rubi Ho speaking. This is just my personal sharing here. I don't dictate this on you. I'm just sharing it. But for me, it was that point that I realized two things. One, that this is not my ultimate resting place, that there is beyond earth for all of us. And why that really helped me so much was, even though the things seem so important, and believe me, there are things on earth that really do seem so important, don't they, to us, whether they be extreme in a good or a bad way. But at the end of the day, when we know this is not our final resting place, it helps diminish the importance just a little bit. And sometimes that's enough for you to move on and move forward and keep hope alive. And so spiritual health is about knowing that even if you are physically alone, you're not alone. Knowing even that you might at times feel like you're all by yourself, you are actually part of the human race, this universal oneness. That even though sometimes you don't know where you're going to get your next piece of energy, your last breath to take that step, you go within and you touch that eternal source that for me is God. And but it's so important to know that truly the things on earth, they are important, but they're not the most important thing. And so with whatever little ounce you have to foster spiritual health for you, please do that. So when you look at the life areas, sense of purpose, your relationships, finances, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, what's your overarching score? Can you feel good about maintaining? What do you need to simply tweak? What do you need to disrupt?